Hi, my name is Claire Calderwood, and I run a large licensed family childcare in Benicia, California. And I actually opened my childcare in 2011 in San Francisco and moved to a new location in the fall of 2019 and was all ready to um, open up in June of 2020. So that's when my program started. And when the IECMH program email came through, I wanted to tell you about where I was at. So I had a new group of kids, many of whom were just showing extreme signs of distress. I think I'd been through my first group of kids from the pandemic, and I had moved into my second group of kids from the pandemic. And this group of younger guys had never been in group care before and were exhibiting some really challenging behaviors. And I'm not new to this. I've been teaching preschool since 2005, but I found that all of my tools that I had used in the past were just not working. And I was kind of at my wit's end about what to do when this email came through saying that state of California expanded this mental health program, wanted me and my staff to have access. And I was so excited, and I clicked through because I was kind of at a place where I was wondering, is this sustainable? Am I going to be able to stay in this profession anymore? I was just really at my wit's end, and it was already a hard job, and the pandemic really compounded things. Also, having moved to a new location really compounded to the stress on top of that. So when I met with the counselor for the first time, we talked about these crazy transitions that we were having. And over the course of many sessions, we set some goals and we achieved them, and we decided to keep extending the contract. And I ended up working in the program for almost a year, sometimes only meeting like once a month, but it was a long-term thing. And I just the other week had a student getting ready to transition out, and he was one of the ones who was really new when I started in the IECMH program, HC program. Um, when he had come to me, I was seeing a lot of reactionary physical aggression towards the other kids. And on his last day, he came and into this circle room, and on the day that's normally show and tell, and he ran out into our cozy corner and started to cry. And I went over to talk to him after I gave him a second. I went over and checked in with him about what was going on. And it turns out he was able to tell me, that he was really upset he didn't have his toy because they were all packed in boxes because his family was getting ready to move. And, I told him, I just had to recognize that a year earlier, he would not have been able to tell me that. And a year earlier, he would have still been in the circle room acting out and possibly get into a physical fight with another kid. A year earlier, I didn't have a cozy corner. And here I was a year later with this child who had big emotions, who knew that he could go to the cozy corner to calm down, who was able to tell me about what was going on for him. And then when I offered it, I was like, it's the last day, but you get to be special helper. Do you want to come in? He was excited to come in. But really that experience kind of helped drive home how much in my program has changed since working within the IECMHC program. I had another example just the other day where, a student's primary caregiver went out of town, and we were seeing some huge behaviors, but we have that communication now with the parents, where I knew that mom had been out of town, and that we were going to be seeing some big feelings, and we saw her doing some things. So the little one was having some meltdowns and trying to get a lot of stimulation by like crashing the bike. And our approach to handling that situation's really changed over the last year, because there's a time when, my staff would have just gotten upset at her for crashing the bike. And now, even though we can kind of be exasperated sometimes, I'm able to kind of come in and talk to them and remind them about this bigger picture and about what she's really needing. And we came up with a plan of like how we could make an obstacle course that went over a bump so she could kind of get some of that stimulation. One of my staff members decided to put out a swing so that the spinning swing, so she could spin. Um, these kinds of conversations happen so much more now that I've been through the program. And I feel like I have so many more tools at my disposal than I did, which is saying a lot, because I mean, I've been in this profession a really long time. But I feel like the time that I spent doing the IECMHC program has really made me grow so much as a professional, to the point where now every parent who comes to tour my school gets to hear about this program. And every parent gets to hear how, if you had asked me to describe what I was most passionate about, or what I thought was the signs of a high quality program, 5 years ago, I would have told you it was that, because, I used to be an elementary school teacher and I was really good at doing pre-K stuff, or like building in, ways to teach academics. And the social emotional was there, but it was much more in the background. And since coming here, going through the pandemic, doing the professional development with this program, um, the part that I'm most proud of now is the social and emotional, really intentional social and emotional learning. And it's bringing in all those books that we've learned about, and reading them with the kids, teaching through social stories, um, and really a lot of working with my staff on how we get to the base issues instead of just getting exasperated with like the surface stuff that we're seeing. And since my approach, I think it's always been my approach, but sometimes when I would get exasperated and I would meet with my counselor, she would have to remind me like why I got into this, why I do what I do, where are the kids coming from, what kind of support they need. And that really kind of taps into a bigger why, and things shift. Um, the parents respond to me better than they did before. I think because they see these the social and emotional piece is a piece that not every program has. And it's now the piece that I consider the high quality, the sign of a really high quality care, is when that social emotional piece is really embedded, when it's really intentional, and when it's made more visible. And that's so much of the journey that we've been through over the last year, is about making the invisible work that we're doing visible. So coming up with ways to, when I have social expectations, how do we turn that into a chart of like, this is how this room is being used right now. These are the expectations of this room right now. And then the kids can help me move a clip down to explain, which time of day it is. Being able to read books with strategies, coming up with lists for, with the kids, of things that we can do when we're upset. These kinds of conversations have really shifted things in my program. And I believe have made it much more high quality care, and have helped to really, I don't know, meet some needs that just desperately needed to be met. And, I think with that, I've had so many parents respond so positively, and recommend my program to their friends, and recommend. And I really do think it's because of that kind of work that we're doing. That's the piece that the parents are responding to. And I'm just incredibly grateful that this program came in and became available cost-free to me and my staff at the time that it did. I would not have been able to, I mean, I don't think just budgetarily, I couldn't afford to pay for a therapist for me and my staff. And this has just been such an incredible gift. There were so many bad things that happened during the pandemic, and this is one of the like silver lining, really good things that happened. And the things that we've learned have infused themselves into my program to a point where they not only served the kids over this last year, but they will continue to serve kids for many years into the future. And I'm still planning on being here many years into the future. And so that is maybe the biggest takeaway. The biggest success is that just having that little bit of extra support meant possibly the difference between me changing careers. So I'm really grateful, and I just wanted to let you guys know, like, it's very much changed my life and the life of my teachers and the life of a lot of kids. So we're incredibly grateful for whatever policymakers decided that this was important, because it is important. So important. So important. Thank you so much.